Hey friends, welcome back to Thriving Online Healing Podcast. This is episode 49, and this week we have a guest, Toby Johnson. He is the owner of CrossFit Norman, which is my home gym. And we just want to talk CrossFit and get a different perspective. Toby is a physical therapist, correct?
I not currently practicing, but yes, I do have a DPT.
Yes. And Dr. Carmen has all sorts of thoughts on CrossFit. So we're just going to dive in.
Let's do it.
We appreciate you being here with us today, Toby, and joining us. And I was hoping today maybe you could just kind of talk to us about CrossFit for all fitness types. Maybe we can break some or bust some myths today about sort of the body types, the exercise level types of folks, and how maybe we could integrate CrossFit with that.
Sure. So I think like right out of the gate, I think CrossFit might get somewhat of a difficult reputation or a bad reputation based on people's preconceived notions of what CrossFitters look like. So a lot of people that come to the gym or inquire about coming to the gym, they're like, well, I don't even know if I'm in good enough shape to even join your gym, which is the farthest thing from the truth. Like anybody can start coming to CrossFit classes, coming to my gym, any CrossFit gym, really. It's everybody starts where they start. So some people, we have people from all walks of life, moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas. We have people that are 150 pounds overweight. We have elite athletes. We have all kinds of people within the gym. But the thing is that they all have in common, they all started somewhere whenever they came into the gym. So I don't think there is a required fitness level for starting a CrossFit gym. It's just getting into the gym and figuring out where you are and then what modifications that myself as a coach needs to walk people through so that they can progress safely. Because like let's say a 65-year-old individual joins the gym, he or she is going to progress much differently than a 21-year-old former high school athlete, so there's going to be different levels that people can safely go through whenever it comes to exercise within the gym.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I appreciate you bringing that up, that even our grandmas and grandpas and seniors can start an exercise routine within the CrossFit world, because sometimes I think the idea of CrossFit can be a little bit intimidating for some folks. Yeah. So creating a space that's open for everybody and encouraging that is really helpful. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. So to speak on that too, the older population, the classes. So we actually have a class here at CrossFit Norman that is geared solely towards the older individuals, 55 and up primarily. What we do with that, it is CrossFit packaged in a different way. So it isn't necessarily like we aren't hammering Olympic weightlifting movements, or we're not maxing out back squats or doing pull-ups or anything like that. We're treating it as exercise that is going to be geared towards improving these individuals' function for the rest of their lives so that they can do whatever it is that they like to do forever. So if my 72-year-old client Ginger likes gardening, we're going to do exercises that help her be able to garden for longer. She can, if she's having difficulty walking up and down the stairs, or she loves going to OU football games, we're able to figure out some different single leg exercises that's going to build strength within her lower extremity so that she can go up and down the stadium stairs without being exhausted at the end of the day or fall. I get a lot of people within that class that have balance issues. That we'll work on balance. We'll work on basically a lot of like cardiorespiratory exercise so that they can breathe and function well for long periods of time. But we're not going to do the same things in that class as we would in a regular CrossFit class, if that makes sense. So we have lots of different aspects of CrossFit packaged into that class, but it's it's not the same, if that makes sense to you guys.
I have a question for you, Toby.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
are the people that are in that class like, okay, I'll come clean. So I'm 40 and I'm like 15 years away. Is he going to move me over into that class?
No. We have plenty of people that go to the gym that you'll notice that are definitely probably very close to being 55, 50, whatever. It's not like, okay, you hit 55, come to see me at 10 a.m. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. It's not that. It's for actually individuals that are a little bit, I would say, nervous about starting like CrossFit, or they like that population. I've had 30-year-olds, I've had 40-year-olds, I've had all kinds of people that just honestly, they could work out at that time frame, and they liked the people in that class, and they wanted to have a sense of community. So we all kind of like worked out together. And I mean, I'll be honest, we do a lot of talking in our longevity class too. Like we'll hang out on the bikes and the rowers, and we'll talk a lot. We'll exercise a little bit. We play a lot of fun games, but it's more, I think it's great for the individual souls in that class too. It's not just we're getting in there and we're hammering it for an hour and they're leaving like they could barely walk. That's not it at all. It is a structured approach that people are going to get a lot out of it. They're going to have fun, and they're not going to be crushed, so they can do whatever it is that they want to do the rest of the day, kind of thing, in that class and in all of our classes, in my opinion, but that one especially.
Perfect. Toby, can you talk to us a little bit about like why CrossFit? Maybe some benefits that you're seeing with your clients in your classes?
Sure. So I personally think CrossFit it's a very well-rounded form of exercise, in the fact that you're never truly doing the same thing day in and day out, so that you won't ever get burnt out on it, in my opinion. So a lot of times whenever you go to a traditional gym, a lot of people have the same routine. On Monday, we do bench press, and then we walk on the treadmill for an hour. On Tuesday, we do back, and then we row for whatever. A lot of people start to get burnt out on traditional gym approaches, whereas CrossFit, whereas it might seem like everything is kind of like jumbled together and just thrown together, the programming that we have at CODA is thought out meticulously weeks ahead of time, and we have cycles planned so that we're never truly, if you follow it correctly, you're not hitting different body parts more than once, more than like 2 times in a row. So for instance, like maybe day 1, we're doing a little bit longer workout, and it's paired with a lower body strengthening exercise or something like that. And then maybe day 2, our workout is drastically shorter, but it's a little bit more intense. And then the strength component is an upper body exercise. It's all thought out, and it's all planned out based on where we're at within our cycles of our strength and conditioning programs. So the reason why I think CrossFit is great, if done correctly, is you're never going to overtrain if you're actually doing it correctly. Now, there are people that come within the gym that want to come 7 days a week, 2 times a day. They don't sleep enough. They don't take rest days. They don't fuel their body appropriately. Those are the types of people that we start to see injuries from. So the people that kind of like get the CrossFit bug, and then they come and they just want to go hard every single workout, and they don't necessarily follow the coach's recommendations say the coach says, okay guys, today's workout's a little bit longer. Maybe you should only work to about 60 to 70% of your capacity rather than going all out 100% for 20 minutes. If you do that day in and day out, your body will not be able to recover, and that has a potential to lead to injury with any type of exercise. I would argue that is the case, especially in people that aren't super well versed in some of the more complex movements. If you try to go hard on Olympic weightlifting movements without the proper technique, or without listening to whoever's coaching you's guidance, then you are more susceptible to getting hurt. But you could do that in any type of exercise, running, like
And CrossFit gets blamed for that, right? Like overtrained, like they blanket it and blame CrossFit, and it's like it's the individual not taking responsibility for their personal well-being and their fitness journey. Because
Sure.
I can lead a horse to water, but I can't force them to drink. You can tell me 50% Kim, and it's my choice whether I listen to you or not.
Exactly. So the people like CrossFit coaches, CrossFit owners, whoever, they can only control what you do within the gym. And everybody's an adult anyway, so they can honestly do whatever they want. But you can only coach somebody for when they're in the gym. Now, whenever they're not in the gym, they could go home and who knows, they could go to another gym and work out more, or they could go home and drink 12 beers and get an hour of sleep and try to come back the next day dehydrated. And then they are having complications within the workout that has nothing to do with the actual exercise, but it's how they've treated their body throughout the day, which I think some people fail to recognize, because our gym's within a college town too, so we have a lot of younger people within the gym that are still 22, 23 years old that like to go out and have fun, stay up and not sleep, and then they come in all dehydrated, and then they can be like, man, like I am exhausted kind of things. Like, well, did you get enough sleep? Did you eat any vegetables? Did you drink water? Did you do this, that, and the other? Like, well, no. I was like, well, that's probably why you feel like crap, not necessarily the exercise that you've done, but let's check all the boxes outside of the gym, because that's honestly where people will move the needle in terms of their overall health, are all the little things they do outside of the gym. We can just give suggestions and make sure that they are being as safe as possible within the walls of the gym, and then answer any questions that they have about outside life.
So Carmen, as a physician, you're getting people coming to you on the opposite side, right? Like they're injured or they're suffering from rhabdo. So like what has been your perceptions of CrossFit based on that perspective?
So a lot of it, so the active cases I have right now that we're recovering from injuries, specifically in CrossFit and Rhabdo, it's definitely, you have to take into consideration their mindset, right? Because people can get addicted to exercise. People can get addicted to that endorphin rush. And so they're not listening to their body. But it's, and I actually have two Rhabdo cases right now. One is a person that they still have a little more work to do as far as their nutrition goes. But they love CrossFit. So they're going to continue to go to their workouts and their competitions at the risk of their kidney health and their overall health. And then I have one other person, it's a little bit of a wake-up call for her, and she's starting to understand her body a little bit more and listen to her body a little bit more. But it's that if she's not working out 100% in her CrossFit, this is her perception where she's having to work through. She doesn't feel like she worked out, right? Or she doesn't feel like she did a good job, or she doesn't feel like she showed up. And so I think I'm on the same page with you that it's definitely the individual. It's not necessarily the CrossFit exercise program. It's just that the exercise program and CrossFit, I think, is an avenue for people who have a tendency to over concentrate, or it gives them that opportunity, right, to push themselves. And then they increase their risk of injury because they're not listening to their body. They have this perception, right, that they've got to be at 100%, or they don't feel like they're doing enough.
So to speak on that, like I will be 100% honest. Whenever I first kind of like walked into a CrossFit gym, or whenever I first started like my journey in CrossFit, I was one of the people that was a former athlete, I played soccer most of my like younger life. I walked into a CrossFit gym and it was competitive. Some people, like you want to try to beat other people. And there are a lot of people like that have that mindset, that like to compete and like to compare themselves to others. So very quickly out of the gate, I was attracted to that component of CrossFit but that was a younger, dumber Toby. Now I realize that if I try to keep up with anyone other than myself, that can lead to a lot of things. It can lead to me becoming burnout. It can lead to me not getting the desired stimulus of the workout, so that my body isn't going to be able to recover adequately. If if uh, if I am not in the correct mindset when I go to do certain things within the gym, uh, negative things can happen. Whereas like if I get into my head and it's like, oh man, I had a really bad day working out, like, and I beat myself up about it, that's not really what like CrossFit or what like your experience in the gym should be like. You should be going to the gym to have for it to be a good part of your day. If you're going to the gym and you're leaving it in a bad mood, something to me is a miss. Like, you need to reevaluate the reason why you are going to the gym. If it's to go there and like beat your buddy in a workout, maybe you should take a step back to think about like, oh, like that's not really what this is about. This is about becoming healthy so that I can do this for a long period of time. Maybe I get good enough to compete in this sport, but you still can't focus on those small things, because there's so much more to life than being good at exercise. Like exercise should be a supplement to having enjoying life, in my opinion. Now, there are lots of people that like to compete, and there's lots of people that like to do that competition aspect of CrossFit, and there's nothing wrong with that. I like doing that too, but I can leave those feelings at the gym and not get caught up with, okay, I'm going to try to beat this 18-year-old kid in a workout or lift more than them. Whereas back in my younger days, I would try to beat everybody all the time, and I got burnt out doing that. So if people can have a healthy mindset when it comes to all this stuff, they're going to be set up for success. And if people can also think about all of the things that go on in health outside of the gym, like hydration, like we were talking about, eating properly, all those things. Are they getting enough sleep? Do they carry a lot of stress from their job or their family life or relationships, whatever? If you can kind of start to work on all of those things, the stuff in the gym is going to be easy, in my opinion. And it's going to better your life rather than cause injury. Now, if you go into the gym with an incorrect mindset, or you're not paying attention to what you're doing and you're just going hard and you're trying to wipe yourself out every single day, you're going to get run down, and it's only a matter of time before all of those negative things catch up to you.
Right.
So I've been able to do this for a long period of time because I was able to start to recognize that. But I'm in the minority of that because I live and breathe this stuff all the time. So I'm able to kind of sit back and kind of reflect on what is my why for this? What am I really trying to gain from it? And then once you discover that, then you can start to put those little pieces of your life together. It's like, okay, if I want to be super healthy, why don't I start drinking more water? Like, I can't just drink coffee all day and expect my body to function correctly. I'm not losing weight. Well, what did I eat all day? Like, did I just eat fast food all day? Did I get 3 hours of sleep, or did I get 8 hours of sleep? You can start to think about those little things, but it is a process. It's not like something that you can just like snap your fingers and like have all these like ducks in a row. It takes a long time to figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
And I think
and a lot of people are a little bit nervous about asking those questions too. So if you can have an honest conversation with like somebody, like a coach within the gym or whatever, or start to talk with yourself about that, then people can really move the needle when it comes to their health. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're okay. You're good. I think that, well, you are a minority, right? Because you're introspective, right?
Yeah.
And you're self-aware. And I don't think that's a typical trait in
Yeah.
most people, right? And it is a journey to get there for most people, right? A lot of
Sure.
us, I don't know whether you'll agree with this. I feel like there's a certain personality type that's kind of drawn to CrossFit, kind of more type A driven.
Sure. Yeah.
um, but like how I can relate this to you, Carmen, is like those same people that you're seeing, like it's mindset,
Yes.
right? Like it's not just CrossFit. It's like sometimes we use, I will be personal, I'll personalize it. In the beginning, I use CrossFit to cope with life as a way to check out, right? So it's like drilling into like maybe it's not CrossFit that's hindering you, maybe it's your mindset and how you're approaching your entire life, right?
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. And I mean, as a practitioner and I'm working with folks, I'm always trying to take that whole person approach, right? Nutrition is a huge component of naturopathic medicine. So I'm always trying to teach people about that. I think where, I mean, and I definitely recognize that it's mindset. That's why it's not the CrossFit gym as a whole. I think it's just that it creates that avenue or that place, right? So for folks who are not necessarily in the right mindset, as far as looking at their health from a whole perspective, right? They're like, okay, like I have a couple of folks who I see this also with adrenal fatigue. I don't know if that is something that you're familiar with, that they are very adamant about continuing their CrossFit program. And I said, let's just see if we can alter it a little bit, because the longer your recovery, the more draining it is on your adrenals. And
Sure.
so, because it's a physical stressor. But I think in some cases, especially if they're like the part of their mindset is, well, in two of them, part of their mindset is they did CrossFit when they were younger and it was the healthiest they've ever felt, right? So they're holding on to that. So now 4 kids later, right? Not the best, healthiest habits. They're trying to jump back into CrossFit where they were, 4 or 5 years ago, pre-kids, and they're causing themselves injury because they want to pick up where they think they left off instead of gradually addressing it as, hey, this is a new routine, right? Let's start with where we are right now instead of trying to start where we were 4 or 5 years ago.
Sure. And that I think that happens all the time within the walls of the gym. Like people will be like, oh, well, I used to play D1 football. I should be able to just go and pick up this 300-pound bar or whatever like that. And then they could potentially get hurt. If people have the correct way of approaching things, like small steps leading up to these big things, people are going to be successful. But if people compare themselves to the versions of their old selves or anyone else, that's when people can start to see the negative aspects of CrossFit. And it's not just CrossFit, it's any exercise program, honestly. Like it could be I don't know, it could be running. If you go out there and just say, oh yeah, one time I ran a marathon, and then you haven't ran a marathon in 10 years, and it's like, okay, I'm going to go out there and run 20 miles or something like that, you're going to get shin splints, or you're going to get plantar fasciitis, or you're going to get something because your body hasn't started to adapt to the new stressor. So you have to always consider, like, how am I loading the body? How am I doing this? How am I doing that? Like, am I taking a methodical approach and diving back into an exercise program? So it's like the same thing with physical therapy or like rehabilitative services. You don't just give them this huge laundry list of exercises or stretches or whatever on day one. You start small. You start with small sets on things, light weights, things like that. And then as your body adapts and your tissues adapt to those new stresses, you start to add in weights or extra reps or more sets or more complicated exercises and things like that. It's the exact same way with CrossFit. If you start slowly and progress in a controlled fashion, your risk for injury is far smaller than if you just come in one day and you see a workout on the board that says, I don't know, let's say it's called Diane, which is handstand push-ups, which, as the name sounds, does not sound like something that's very easy, correct?
Right.
And deadlifts at 225 pounds. If a very new person just comes in and is like, I'm going to go do 45 reps of both of these things, and it's going to be easiest thing in the world, they're probably going to get hurt because, one, they don't know how to do a handstand push-up, and two, their body probably isn't capable of picking up 225 pounds 45 times. So if you scale that back and you work on, I don't know, like a easier variation of a push-up and a much lighter deadlift weight in a controlled fashion, you're going to be just fine. So theoretically. Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I love CrossFit, so it's very personal to me because I get pissed when people start blaming it. And like, I ran cross country in college, and like, you don't hear people like blaming running, and like every one of my teammates was constantly injured. It's like, it's the same concept. Like, you do anything excessively, like it's going to have negative effects, right? You eat excessively,
yeah,
it's going to have negative effects.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's my tangent. Sorry.
I agree with that 1,000%.
That's true, though. Yeah. If we're not in that balanced state, right? You're balancing out and you're listening to your body, you're going to overdo things. People do it all the time. And that's what creates chronic illness. That's what creates injuries, right? And so being able to step back and have that introspective perspective to say, okay, is this something that is helpful? Is this something that's beneficial? Is this something that my body needs? Is this something that I'm working against my body? Yeah.
Toby, I want you to dispel this, please, because this is like a trait that I've seen in all my CrossFit friends. It's like they have this idea that it's like a compound effect, right? Like, if I'm going to go on vacation next week, I'm just going to go ahead and work out like twice a day so I can bank it, right?
Sure.
Like, I think that's like, or it's a mindset of fear of, if I don't work out for 2 days, I'm going to gain weight, right? It's either coming from this like fear-based mentality, or it's coming from this, I'll bank it ahead of time.
Sure. Yeah. So I used to kind of be that way, honestly. So there would be, if I'm following a specific program within CrossFit, say like I'm following Coda CrossFit programming, and I love being able to do all those workouts or whatever it is. And then let's say I have I have an appointment one day and I can't make it to the gym. The certain people will try to come the next day and do both things. They'll try to do yesterday's class and today's class when it's not meant to be like that. It's meant to be one class and then the rest and then the next class, things like that. If you start to add too many things together, you're going to overdo it. It's the same thing with I don't know, like any work related activities too. If you miss a day, it's like if you go on vacation and then the first day you come back on a Monday, you have 1,000 unread emails. If you try to get to all of those emails in one day, you're going to just go crazy. Probably you're going to have to gradually do it or gradually get to them. So to dispel that, that is not an uncommon thing for people to do within CrossFit or any exercise for that matter. So what I can like try to tell those people is, it took you X amount of time to become however fit and healthy and look the way that you're looking. Like, say it took 5 years to look the way that you look, or however long. You're not going to lose all of those positive benefits from CrossFit or exercise or whatever you do in 2 days or a week or a month or whatever. Just like you can't beat yourself up if you eat really healthy. Like, let's say you eat healthy 85-90% of the time, and then one day it's your birthday and you go have pizza and ice cream and you go a little bit crazy and you indulge a little bit, you're not going to lose all of those positive health benefits from eating bad one day. Like, you can be a human and you can continue on in your health and fitness journey while still being sane, because a lot of people can't diet and they can't be super strict on exercise 100% of the time. I don't think anybody can. So I would just try to encourage people to know that you're not going to undo all of the positive things that you've been doing day in and day out by missing a workout or going on vacation or whatever it is that you're doing. If your idea of fun is on vacation, going to the gym every morning and working out and doing all that, that's awesome. Like, go do it. Like, that is, I would encourage that. But if you want to like go on vacation and relax and just have a good time, you do not need to come back and try to make up for lost time after that vacation. You should just start right where you left off. It's like, okay, this is a brand new week. I'm going to start on Monday with everybody else, and I'm going to see how my body feels and progress appropriately. So
Yeah.
that's exactly what I do. So let's say like I did a CrossFit competition and I need to take like 2 or 3 days off so that my body can adequately repair itself and I can get my nervous system kind of back in check and my hormones back in balance. I'm not going to, like, let's say I don't start working out again until Wednesday of next week. I'm not going to try to pack in all of those things that I missed. I'm just going to call those days a wash and I'm going to start back on Wednesday and try to get back into my normal routine. Me personally. Not everyone does that. And I talk to dozens and dozens of people on a daily basis about trying to get them to listen to their bodies and to not take exercise too seriously. Like, you're not going to lose any gains in a day of not exercising. You can not come to the gym and you're still going to be fine. The world is still going to go round and your life is not over. So if you need to take some time off from the gym, take some time off from the gym, because it's still going to be here and you're still going to be a very healthy, fit person. Like,
Right.
no.
But it is that coming, I guess maybe it's, I'm thinking about it from that scarcity mindset, right? Like, I would do it again, but
No.
several years ago, I had to have 2 different surgeries, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, we're going to do these in a 7-day period because I do not want to take off from CrossFit twice.
Well, no, that's depending on the injury. A lot of people do that. They just want to, because coming back from any type of injury or surgery is a long, arduous process. Like, especially, it depends on what it is, honestly, but if you can knock them out and your body just undergoes healing for both of those surgeries kind of all at once, that's half the amount of healing time. I would do the exact same thing. Let's say I needed both of my knees replaced. I would probably try to get them both done at the same time so that I'm not like on one leg for 2 years rather than 1 year, however long the time might be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a bad way of looking at it at all.
But I wasn't like listening to my body, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, I was like, let's get this done, because what's most important is that I don't lose my fitness. I need to go back. So here I am 3 weeks later with my arm in a sling back at CrossFit. Like,
I personally don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to get back to the thing that brings you so much joy. So you love doing CrossFit and it makes you happy. It improves your overall quality of life. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So if you had your shoulder in a sling and then 2 weeks later you rip that sling off and you're like, okay, I'm going to go snatch, that's one thing.
right.
But if you're like still following your physician and your therapist's orders, that you're not moving it X amount of degrees, but you're coming into the gym and you're sitting on the bike and you're walking or you're doing some lower body stuff that's within the parameters of your rehab process, that's entirely another thing.
Right.
So you're still able to gain all of those positive benefits from exercising and socializing within the gym and being within the community, all those things that you love, you're just doing it at a way that is modified to what you can do currently, which is exactly what I would tell people starting out, like brand new people to CrossFit. If you do things that are within your capabilities, you're not going to get injured, and you're going to reap all of these benefits that come from the social aspect of CrossFit and being in an uplifting place that people are going to build you up rather than tear you down. So I don't think it's a negative. If I ever get surgery, I would want to come back into the gym as soon as I can too, and do whatever it is that I'm allowed to within my rehab guidelines.
Yeah. Yeah. But it is mindset though, right? Like, yes, I'm back in because this is a positive aspect of my life. But then the whole time I'm like, that anxious energy of like, I'm losing my fitness. I'm getting farther behind. This is going to be harder to make a comeback, and just, but I know now that that's my responsibility. And those are my thoughts that are creating that.
I think those are all very rational, normal thoughts to have, especially it could be with anything though. Like you're just relating yours to fitness, which is clearly something that you're very passionate about and it's a big part of your life. Somebody might have different opinions on that, but they might do the same thing with something else that's really important within their life, So yours is just fitness and you don't want to lose any gains that way. But as long as you're able to kind of be honest with yourself and like, am I able to do this safely? Can I come back to this in a correct time frame? That's fine. And then you just have to be like, this is what I have to do in order to get back to where I want to be. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a process, but I can do it, kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah, it's just a lot of like positive self-talk. You just have to be kind of honest with yourself on things like that.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to do. Don't get me wrong. Like it's easy to say that. It's a way harder to do it.
Right. That's where you need a life coach.
I was just going to say.
For sure. Yeah.
Carmen, do you have any other questions for Toby?
No, I think this is very informative. I appreciate your time this morning.
Yeah, it was great.
Do you have anything else, Toby, you want to impart to the people?
I mean, I really am very adamant about, it doesn't matter to me if you do CrossFit, if you go and do high intensity interval training at a different gym, if you're running marathons, if you're doing whatever. I don't really care if it's CrossFit. I just think everybody should have some outlet of exercise that makes them feel good. If that's going on walks with their significant other or playing out in the yard with their kids, just as long as they're not like sitting on the couch all day, I don't care what it is. But I think that CrossFit does get a negative reputation for some of the injuries, but I really think if people can peel back the different layers of their life and really think about maybe what may have caused that injury prior to starting CrossFit, then they could honestly say like, maybe it wasn't CrossFit's methodology that did that. Maybe I was doing some other things. Now, I mean, if the CrossFit methodology within that gym is really, really dumb and people are trying to like do beat down workouts all the time and not giving themselves proper time to recover and things like that, that's entirely different story. But if you are approaching things in a smart, methodical way, the margin for injury is drastically decreased if you do things correctly and you take care of your body outside of the gym. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Toby.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No
Can
problem.
you tell us a little bit about where people can find you?
Yeah. So my gym's website or like me personally?
Whatever you want, Toby.
So if anyone is interested in trying out CrossFit within the Norman area, my gym's website is www.codacrossfitnorman.com. We're located right near the university on McGee on 1210 McGee Drive. And then my gym's Instagram is coda.norman. And you can also find us on Facebook. And my Instagram is Toby Johnson. It's not that exciting, or excuse me, it's just Toby Johnson with some like 3 underscores. I'm not that interesting. I just like my dogs a lot. So you can see a lot of pictures of my Basset Hounds. So
Cutest dog, Marty and Lloyd.
Yeah. So I'm not super interesting on that. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
I'll put the links in the show notes. So if you guys want to check it out, it'll be there. So, all right, friends, have a wonderful day. We'll catch you.
You too. Bye.